Hey guys, um, I was just getting on here to update and say hi. I haven't been on in a while. I got a little bit of a headache, so pardon me if I start squinting or something like that. Hey there, Tiff. Mwah. Love you, girl. So thought that I would, like I said, get on and update you guys. I have my last chemo coming up on Monday, and I'm pretty solidly in the land of chemo dread. And it is amazing how Wednesday comes. Yesterday I wasn't feeling too great, and I was just kind of a little down, and I was just like, gosh, what is wrong with me? What the heck is going on? And then I was like, wait, what's today? And then it was like, oh, it's Wednesday. And I was like, gosh, it's amazing how that clock kicks in for chemo dread. It is just amazing, So it's like, it's kind of like, come on, girl. Come on, girl. So I don't really like feeling down. I don't know anybody who likes feeling down, but anyway, so I thought I'd get on here and update you guys. You'd think I'd be super excited about Monday being my last day, and I am really eager to get it over with, but I'm still it's just the dread is just so kind of significant that it's hard to see past it, if that makes any sense. And it's also I'm still wrapping my brain around the fact that I have cancer, and I've said that a lot, that it's so surreal. It still is I have cancer. It's what? What? And, because I've worn my hair bald before, seeing my head like I said, the eyebrows, I've told you all this before, not having eyebrows or eyelashes is a new thing. I haven't sported that style before, but there's just not an awful lot that just hasn't really sink in, but I think probably the realest part of it is just the chemo dread piece, and just that just dreading it. And like I've shared with you guys before, once I get there and start that process, you're kind of go, go, go. And so and everybody there is so lovely that you're pretty solidly distracted right up to the point of injection, and so that's good. And my reactions have still been really mild. I'm so friggin' lucky. I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed. All your all's prayers and thoughts and positive energy. I can't begin to say what this would look like without you guys. It just gets me really emotional, because I'm just really, really fortunate. Just really, really fortunate to have the family and friends that I have. So, gosh, here I go again. I get on here just kind of feeling the need to share and just kind of get some things off my chest a little bit. And the next thing you know, I'm crying. And then I'm sitting there going gosh, they're going to think that this is what this looks like all the time. And it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just, that chemo dread piece it just takes a little bit of a beating on me. And I think I'm realizing too that this is kind of a, not being dramatic, but I'm kind of sharing this for other people in your life that might be going through something like this. It's kind of like a traumatic experience, and it's really hard to wrap your brain around it. And I kind of feel like now that it's winding down a little bit, even though I have a fair amount left to go, this first leg, the chemo leg, is winding down a little bit, and there's this part of you that's just kind of what just happened? I'm not really sure why I'm crying. Gosh almighty, I really didn't think I was going to get on here and cry. But anyway, so things are going really well and I feel really good, and continue to not really have really bad side effects. And the head pressure was a bit, and I think I updated you all on that, before, that the head pressure this time was a bit more. It kind of felt like, just kind of felt like recovering from a concussion. I feel like I've shared that before. Just, kind of more eye movement and head movement and stuff like that. Just didn't feel real great. But like the more I could like stabilize my head, it was a lot better. And that lasted like 10 days, Yeah. I love you, Tiff. It's funny because it doesn't seem like a lot until, I don't know, it's still hard to wrap my brain around like it being a lot. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like, my capacity for denial is freaking insane. And, in a lot of regards, like, yeah, I think it's just kind of like right now I'm in this space of like, what the heck just happened? Gosh. So, anyway, another cool and interesting thing that I don't quite understand and is pretty funny is that the second week of chemo, the second round of chemo, like my third week, I started getting really fuzzy, and it was white, like all white, and you could see. I'm like snotting all over the place now. I'm seriously, I've told you a lot of times, I'm a solid 6-year-old, but I really, really am. So a lot of white came in, and I think I'd shared that with you guys before, and it was kind of funny. And I was thinking like, oh, for whatever reason, it's grown a fair amount this third week. But then after the next chemo treatment, the third cycle of adriamycin, I was like, I'm gonna lose my hair again, because it just goes. Sometimes it'll like grow a little bit when you have a little bit of a break, like when I've had breaks before, and then as soon as I get the chemo treatment, I lose the hair again. Well, what's really funny this time, for whatever reason, I really haven't lost the hair except for like back here where my head like rubs on my pillow. And so I've got a solid amount. It's like duck fuzz or duck. I can't remember the name of what you call their. Anyway, whatever. It's like super, super, super crazy soft, like super crazy soft. But like now, let's see if I can stick my head in the sun. I don't know if y'all could see it, but like what's interesting now is like now my dark hair is kind of coming in a little bit, so it looks like my scalp is dark. Yeah, peach fuzz. Thank you. Yeah, that's totally what I was like. Words are failing me. So now my scalp is like dark, but it's because a little bit of darker hair is coming in. So it's kind of interesting this go round that the chemo hasn't just totally made me bald again, which is kind of funny. So it'll be funny to see what it does this next go round. Yeah, so I have surgery. I'll repeat scans in the end of May. So I'll have chemo on the 10th, and then I'll repeat scans on May 24th. And then I'll have the triple lumpectomy on June 10th, and then I'll have the medical breast reduction on June 24th. And then I'll start radiation maybe around the third week of July. And then radiation is earmarked right now to be 6 weeks, like I've told you guys before. But the pathology from the lumpectomy will dictate that exact schedule. So I'll know more about that probably late June, early July. And the good news, I don't feel like I've updated you guys on like the actual tumor itself. And so the site where I originally found it, it was like a bouncy ball, and it was like 6 centimeters. And it is like physical exam, like you can't even feel it, you know. So when I press on it, I can find a spot that's like tender to touch. It kind of hurts a little bit if I, of course, I'm like pressing on it like a 6-year-old, like it hurts. So I can find it just because I have the benefit of the external and the internal feeling of it. But when my doctor even feels it and stuff, I mean, like, she has to try really, really hard with both of us working together and being like, oh yeah, that's it. So that's super exciting, because before, I mean, you could just put your hand flat on the top of my breast and you would feel it. Like, you could feel it in the palm of your hand. So the fact that it has responded so well to the chemo and gotten so small, if not completely gone, is really, really exciting. And that's really, really exciting. And I want to thank all you guys for your support in the barbecue fundraiser. You know, that raised like $2,400 for me, and will pay for almost all my for a significant amount of my medical bills, and 100% of that's going to my medical bills. So really can't appreciate Beth and Kate and Abby enough for organizing that, and Lisa and Jennifer Pine and Belinda and Stephanie Monroe and Richard for working that, and Providence for hosting it. And I just really am super blessed. You know, this thing has caused me to put my life like to a screeching halt, and there's a lot of time for contemplation. And it sounds like that's really good, and sure, it's been good, and but it also is kind of like, geez, it's a lot of reflecting, and sometimes it's a little much. So I kind of rely pretty heavily on work and the distractions in my life, I think. And so it's been good to really force me to just dial it down an awful lot. And also looking at like my health and wellness and fitness and stuff, that's like something I've battled my whole life. And so now I'm sitting here like, all right, you know, really got to do something about all of that. And so, and at the same time, I don't want to. But yeah, I making a few life changes here coming up, and you know, I'm excited about, you know, some of the directions, and I'll share that with you guys later. But actually, I'll share it with you now. I'm going back to school, which I've tried to do multiple times, and I've gone back to school multiple times. I've never gotten my degree or anything, and I finally decided what I want to be when I grow up, and it's a good direction for me, and I'm looking forward to it. And I went ahead and signed up for a class. Thank you, Tiff. So I went ahead and decided to sign up for a class, and I'll be taking one class starting May 17th, and it'll go over the summer. And then if I can follow the schedule I've got like 9 classes to get in before I can transfer to UNC Charlotte. And I'm looking to get my accounting degree and stay in the finance field doing what I'm doing or something similar, and maybe go on to get my CPA is kind of the direction I'm looking at. Super excited about it. Super, super, super excited about it. And although I'm really gifted in like the emotional life coach, therapy, counseling kind of realm, it's not for me, mostly because I emotionally tap in and it takes a lot out of me. And so I'm just going to leave that for my personal life, and just trying to be a good friend and help people out along the way, and leave my career path to be something that's a little less emotionally tapping in, which is good for me. So, and I really like this field. I really like what I'm doing. I really, really like it a whole lot. So, hopefully I can get those classes done and transfer to UNCC's Belk School of Business in fall of 2022 and stay on that track. So anyway, I love you guys. I don't need to apologize for crying, but sorry for crying. There's just some parts of this that, you just get a little down. And I know if I was on the other side of it, it was like, well, duh, yeah, girl, you got cancer and you're going through chemo. That's some rough crap right there. But when I'm experiencing it, it just doesn't feel, that bad or that hard, or, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel like what I feel like all you guys are worrying about, and so it doesn't feel like it's that, so I don't want to overstate it or over dramatize it, or if that's the correct way of saying it, or overinflate it. It really, really, really has gone really, really well. And there's just some days, honestly, the chemo dread that kicks in, there's just, it just gets you down sometimes, I don't really know why. Like, I don't know what I'm down about per se. It just is like, I think the other thing too is like, it's kind of settling in now that, cancer is going to be forever, that it's not going to be, like, I don't know, it's something that's going to always be a part of my life now. And, that's not something that's amazing, but, you think about all these people who have survived cancer and have gone before me, and cancer's been a part of their lives. And, it just is such a different level than what I could have imagined. It's such a different, there's so much of it that's just kind of a head game. And, it's just really different, it's really different. And, it's a different kind of experience. Of course, I guess, any kind of life-altering diagnosis, I know a woman who is dealing with an MS diagnosis, and yeah, geez, oh Pete, I'm like seriously Debbie Downer. It's funny, like a lot of you guys are like, they've done something, or sharing has been motivational, and I think on some level, if this helps anybody, it helps me getting on here, honestly, and just, I don't know, I'm a sharer, and I like letting people in. I like to be known, I guess, as known as in like familiarity, not known as in like popularity. But my thing is that I've kind of always been a person that if you want to know me, I want you to be able to do that. I'm a sharer, and I'm not afraid of people getting close to me, and if you want to know, then I want you to know, and I want to share. And I think, to that extent, for me, this is helpful. It's really helpful. And so, but, it's interesting to get feedback that sharing these things are also somehow helpful to certain people out there. And I don't know what I've done really to be helpful to you, but I'm honored. And, life isn't easy, even without cancer, there's a lot of tough days. And I think that what I want to say more than anything is that, we all have struggles, a lot of them. And, honestly, cancer is not the toughest thing that I've done, if that's believable. My marriage was the toughest thing that I've done. And I think a lot of things is that, we tend to discredit what we're experiencing, and then like look and it's like, oh, well, at least I don't have cancer and going through chemo, and I don't have anything to whine about. I'm not going through, MS, or, I don't have anything to whine about. I have a woman that I know whose son just passed, and he's young, like 30, and there's just so many things that we, I think, use to discount our own experiences that we're going through. And I think, it's not like this totem pole of hierarchy of hardship. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's more like this horizontal thing. Like, you're going through a hard time in your life. Somebody else's hard time doesn't discredit your hard time. And I think to the extent that we can give ourselves grace and space to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling and this is where I'm at right now, and as comfortable as we are to share it with other people and be open about that, I think it helps all of us. And I'm an oversharer. I'm super comfortable with that, and a lot of people aren't, and it's a level of vulnerability that is very, very hard. And I'm not exactly wired like that, and there's nothing wrong with being wired like that. So, but finding somebody to share with and to be able to unpack some things with, and therapy's always a great thing. Lord knows I need to get back into it, and but doing your best to be the friend to yourself that you would be to me or somebody else. I'm getting on here crying, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. And you all are all like, what? You're like yelling at the screen, girl. And I'm saying like, this isn't hard. It's really okay. And you all are like, rah, what, are you crazy? And so like, being the friend to yourself that you would be to anybody else experiencing what you're experiencing. And you wouldn't be sitting there and like, if they're having a tough day, or they're having a tough time in their marriage, or they're having a tough time with their kids, or they're whatever it is, or just like nothing's really wrong. I think I'm back, sorry. Nothing's really wrong. You're just kind of in a funk, and, giving yourself permission to be in that space. Don't set up shop and live there. That's not a good idea. But, to have that dialogue with yourself like you would with a friend, and you wouldn't be saying to your friend, look, heifer, put on your big girl panties and quit whining. You wouldn't be saying the things to your friend that you say to yourself. And, the meanest person I know lives right in here. And I've said that a lot, and I'll continue to say that a lot. And I'm pretty positive that the meanest person lives in there too. And to just be aware of that, and try and be more cognitive of talking to this person the same way you would to a friend, or someone you care about, and having the same level of grace and compassion, that and empathy that you would for that other person. So that's kind of what I try to do. And when I'm kind of struggling with that, I think is when I get on here and I try to like, oh, I need to share an update, and the next thing you know, I'm crying. And so I don't know, I hope that maybe that little nugget is helpful for somebody. And very sure you don't want to be a therapist. Oh, Tiff, I love you so much. Yeah, I tap in too much emotionally. I don't really know how to kind of like shut that off. And so for me, I'll stick to being the friend therapist. I love you guys. Gosh, I love you guys. I can't thank you enough for being on this journey. I can't thank you enough for being there to share this with. I thought an awful lot about this journey and what you all have been and done for me, and I hope that I can repay that. Not that it needs to be repaid, but there's a lot of people that have come out of the woodwork just in support, and in love, and just sharing that love and doing that kind of Care Bear stare thing. And And that's freaking beautiful. And, you know, the people that have, it's just kind of like I sit there and I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, you're in this emotional space, loving on me. It's just an awful lot of love and generosity, and yeah, it's a lot of selflessness, and it's a lot of love and generosity. That's very generous of self. And I hope throughout this experience and after this experience to be a little bit more engaged in that regard. I think a lot of times I'm like, I don't have the emotional energy for this, and I kind of withdraw a little bit from things like that. And kind of after this, I'm like, yeah, we're going to be doing that a little differently, I think. Anyway, all right, I love you guys. Mwah. I love you so, so, so much. And hope you have an amazing day. It's freaking beautiful. Carolina weather has not been disappointing lately. It's been a beautiful, beautiful spring. So I love you guys. See you later. Thanks again for being there for me to listen. I appreciate it much.